Is everyone feeling ready? Yeah, Rowan, you feel ready?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
Anya, would you like to do an introduction or would you like me to jump right in?
I would love to do an introduction if you're
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to
Sounds
honor
good.
you. So welcome everyone. We're very excited that you're here and can be live with us. There are quite a lot of people who have subscribed who could not make real life, so they will be getting the recordings. And I would also love to welcome everyone who's seeing this later. You're with us and part of this circle. I would like to ask everyone to close their eyes for a brief moment to feel your breath flowing in and out. Feel the breath of life filling you. For most of us, the sun is shown today, and I see some of you getting all these beautiful rays of sun on your faces. That's beautiful to see. Feel if there's anything that comes up for you, perhaps some thoughts or feelings, perhaps some processing of what happened today. Maybe for Tamarack, his dreams, as it's quite early. And I would like to invite you to connect with your intention that you carried with you when you subscribed to this gathering. What brought you here? What brought you to this circle? And let's imagine that we're sitting in the circle, a held and shared space in the middle, in the center of us all. And then we can welcome all the beings that have chosen to be here in presence, the visible and the invisible. And let's welcome our Mother Earth, who will be witnessing us today and holding space. And I'd love to ask you to open your eyes again. So I want to do a little introduction on Tamarack in a quite personal way, because I feel it's has been a very personal journey, also coming to where we are at, and yeah, having walked some years together, and yet I would like to introduce this beautiful man and honor him. So about 4 years ago, I was deeply longing to live a united way, get out of my daily environment where I lived in the city, boxed with my family unit, knowing it's not the way for me, being in a rat race, having two jobs, and being full in, wanting to be very successful in what I was doing. And I realized that I came from a very stressed environment that made me quite sick and deprived from my life's energy. And I think that the blessing that came in my life were my two little girls, as almost 7 years ago, as their birthday is nearing. And after they were born, I had a strong sense that I wanted to live outside, that I wanted to connect with what was meaningful. I had quite some like these awakening moments of understanding that this wasn't true, and what came true was living in a connected way. And a strong sense of connecting with people came as well, as I knew that getting and kind of almost wanting to get everything from just one partner in a very nuclear based family was just not the way. I felt a sense of coming together with people so that the everything that we are, every energy that can flow, can be shared together, and that wanting to get something from just one relationship was just not working for me. And then I just started my journey quite intensely. As I found a piece of land and started a community in less than 6 months time, after realizing that a shift needed to come in my life. And I knew that it needed to be with connected people, with people who see that their lives can unfold around really realizing that we're all part of this ecosystem, that we're part of something so much bigger. And then we got a big piece of land in the south of the Netherlands and started an intentional community with majority of people I've never met. And a year after, community was going through quite a chaotic transformation. Actually, every half year it was going through a chaotic transformation. But after that year, I felt quite overwhelmed at times with so much intensity of living a life with 25 people, 9 children, and we were searching. All of us were searching for ways of how can we have this journey be met? How can we come together? How can we hold each other? We tried our best to remember our way, and we had to relearn different things. And always this guiding question of how can we as people come together and trust and build a culture, another culture that we believe is possible. And then there was a book that I came across, and that book changed everything for me. A book that is called Blossoming the Child by Tamarack. And that book, after I started reading the first chapter, tears were flowing down my face, because I knew that was the first chapter is about the early childhood of children and how they were supposed to be nurtured, raised, and seen by a community, and held, how parents are supposed to be held in community together. And only after each chapter showed me the wisdom that I had inside, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't really believe that a life like that would be possible. So every chapter was another discovery of what the real native ways are, our own ways, if we remember them again, could connect us back to each other and to hold each other in every challenge that we face. And then I started to dig more into this beautiful man and his search for what it means to live a connected life. Because I feel that all Tamarack's work is about exactly this question. And how can we come more together and live a more connected life in any form, in a lot of different layers. His research on indigenous traditions, how to raise children, how to come together in communities and trust, about truth speaking, what unites people, and how can we connect through our hearts to each other. His rescue and life's journey with a pack of wolves had inspired the wisdom he brings forward and how we can trust also our animal instinct instead of fearing them. Another layer of work that I admire and honor so much, and I get so excited whenever he speaks about that. And Tamarack, alongside his beautiful wife, Letty, and their third amazing companion, who is their voice, Odemakwa. I want to also honor them, not being physical right now with us, but they're here. His community, they give guardian trainings and do many other teachings, including truth speaking and many, many others that you can also see on their website. And we will be posting them as well. They do this in both North America, Wisconsin, and in Europe, including Germany, a lot of work. And we hope that they will come to the Netherlands very soon. And to maybe just conclude is that I would describe so much of his work as remembering how we can listen again to the calls from all life forms, all beings in any shape that form a bond with, and the silence that breathes between everything. Mm. And I find that so beautiful if we can just, take that little moment of remembering that everything that's out there that we connect to, and all the space in between everything else that's there as well, and that we can listen to. And he always reminds me to do that in his ways, in his different ways of teaching. And eventually, this also gets us back into the circle again. I feel that his work always brings us back into this cycle of like, we do belong together. We can trust. And I gained a lot of trust, actually, to be reminded that it's possible. I want to thank you, Tamarack, for so generously giving your wisdom and having these sharings with us, and being so welcoming to share whatever you have found along your path. And is there something that you would like to add that I have not mentioned yet?
Yes, I think your introduction is more than adequate. Thank you. You're very gracious. And for you and Elisa, bringing us together in this community. Community is right here and now, and here we are coming together in a circle. This is beautiful. This is real time. This person would like to caution us about thinking that, oh, some of us don't know each other. Some of us we're here virtually. We're not really here. We're here. Time and space are only concepts. They're only intellectual constructs. We are here together right now, breathing the same breath, sharing the same spirit. This is what's important. And this gives an entirely different feel to what we're sharing. I'd like to start with a story, because who we are, what we're all about is story. Life is story. We can talk, we can intellectualize, we have concepts and ideals, etc., etc. But what it all comes down to is a matter of heart. And I'd like us to all connect on a heart level before we do anything else. So just close your eyes and we're going to go to a place together. It's a little mountain village tucked away on a on a seldom traveled road. Beautiful. The snowy peaks surround the village, and it's a tiny village. Everybody knows everybody there. Everybody helps and supports each other. And one day, there's a young woman who's out on her journey of discovery. She comes from another country. Let's be that person. We walk up this path beside the one lane road up into the village, and there's a little inn there, a little inn and a hotel that with a tiny little restaurant. And we're thinking, wow, this would be a beautiful place to stay. I can go hiking up in the mountains from here, and just to be with these people. Wow, I have a good feeling about this place. So I walk into the hotel, and there's a man behind the desk, and I introduce myself, and I ask if there might be a room for me. And he says, yes, we have a beautiful room upstairs that has a balcony and a view of the mountains. I think you'd really like it. It's beautiful. And may I see it? I ask. And he says, yes. And I, I would like to put down a deposit on the room right away because I think this is a place I'd like to be. So I open my wallet, and I take out 100 euros and I put them on the desk, and the man at the counter says, well, why don't you go up and discover the room on your own? It's right up at the top of the stairs to the left. It's room number 3, and go in there and see how it feels for you. Go out in the balcony, just take your time. So that's what I do. And in the meantime, the man behind the desk just knows that I'm going to stay there, that I'm going to take the room because it's just perfect. Um, Everybody loves that room. So he takes the 100 euros and he runs out the door and he goes down next door to the butcher shop, and the village is hit hard times and everybody's helping to support each other. There aren't too many tourists who've come up this season. So the hotel has a bill at the butcher shop because it's the butcher who provides the meat for the little restaurant. So he takes the 100 euros and he runs down to the butcher and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry I'm late with paying my bill, but here I have a new tenant in the hotel, and she's going to stay, and I have some money now. I'd like to pay off my bill." And the butcher says, "Thank you, thank you." So the hotel man goes back to his hotel, and the butcher right away thinks, "Oh boy, the farmer who brings his meat to me, brings the cows and the pigs and the chickens. I haven't paid him in a long time, and I'm going to go pay him right now with this 100 euros." So the butcher puts the closed sign up in his shop door, and he goes out to the edge of the village where the farmer lives, and he pays the farmer. He says, "Oh, you've been so gracious in bringing your meat to me so that I can provide the village with meat. And I'd like to pay you right now. I just got paid, and I'd like to pay you. Here's 100 euros." And the farmer very graciously says, "Thank you, thank you. I can really use this." And after the butcher leaves, the farmer goes right away. He goes into town and he goes to this apartment, this upper apartment where a woman lives. And the farmer's a bachelor. And this woman is a lady of the night. And the farmer comes to visit the lady and hasn't had any money to pay for her services. And now he does. So the lady receives the 100 euros and thanks the farmer and gives him a great big kiss. And the farmer leaves. And the lady right away, after the farmer leaves, goes to the hotel and says to the man behind the desk, you know, when I entertain my men, I come here and I use your hotel rooms, and I haven't been able to pay you for a while. And and here's 100 euros. I hope this helps. You've been so gracious in helping and supporting me in my business. And just as the woman lays down the 100 euros on the desk, uh, I come down from upstairs and I say to the man behind the desk, uh, "It's a beautiful place. You are so gracious to provide this for the visitors. However, I was looking out over the mountains from the balcony, and I realized that the mountains are calling me. I want to go further. I want to go further up the path. I want to go back into the mountains. And maybe on the way back, I will come and spend some time with you." So I pick up my 100 euros and put them back in my wallet. And I thank the man behind the desk for showing me the room. And I bid my farewell, and I'm back on the path up the mountain. And this story shows how we are richer than we think we are when we're in community, when we're in circle. That 100 euros got passed all around the village, and everybody was enriched by it. Whereas if one person lived alone, either that person would not have the 100 euros or that person would be broke with no money. And here everybody had the 100 euros. Everybody was able to help and support everybody else. Everybody was happy and enriched by the sharing. And this is what community is all about: sharing. Everything is multiplied. There's a beautiful synergy with coming together. And we can take many, many examples in our lives of how when I live alone, I have to have one of this and one of that and one of that and one of that. And I have to have my own roof over my head, and I have to take care of everything and provide my own transportation. All of the elements of life I have to provide for myself. Whereas when I'm in community, giving is receiving. Everybody is helping and supporting everybody else. And the sharing multiplies everything that is, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, psychically, spiritually. There's this richness in community. And before we go on, I'd like to say that that we practice sharing right here. Yes, there's a lot I can share, and each of you have a lot to share too. We all have equal access to this ancestral wisdom, to this way of being, this way we're designed to live. We have it. All we need to do is peel the layers off, the conditioning from this materialistic, I-oriented culture we come from. And here we are. We are like organs within the same organism. It's there. It's in our hearts. It's the way we're designed to be. It's nothing new. It's nothing we have to learn. We just have to do some unlearning, you might say. So what I'd like to suggest is that we practice this right now. And I don't mind being quote unquote interrupted. I like it. You know, if you have something you'd like to contribute or you have a question, please raise your hand, speak up. This is the richness of the circle. This is how I learn as well. A Blackfoot elder I was with in North Dakota once told me that, hey, Tamarack, you know, when you speak, you're only repeating what you already know. Even if you're asking questions, your questions are based on what you already know. It's really important to be as a question instead of asking questions, to be open, to listen. So I very much enjoy listening. I enjoy listening to your stories and hearing what your curiosities are. So please don't be shy about raising your hand and speaking. It's just going to enrich us all. There's I'd like to start by addressing the concept of community. There is an elder named Kamgabwikwe. She's an Ojibwe elder from Canada, and she's no longer with us in the physical plane. But she came to visit us at the Brother Wolf Foundation, the Teaching Drum, and she looked around at what we had created there. You know, our buildings and our nature center and our primitive camp. And she said, wow, this is a beautiful part of the community. And I said, a part of the community? This is the community. This is our community. And she said, in essence, yeah, that's what you civilized people think. You think you're creating something. You think you're starting something. And she was very gracious about it, though. And she said, you know, look around you. The community already exists. This is the hoop of life, the hoop of relations. There's the tree camp here in the community, and there is the deer camp and the bear camp and the butterfly camp and the flower camp. These are all camps in this make up this greater community. And you are the human camp here. And I right away it hit me, duh, of course. Geesh. Um, this is the way I've been living. This is the way I learned from the wolves. This is the way I learned from my time in the wilds and wilderness. That's the way I've been living. And I just have to upgrade my language to reflect that. So at home, we don't use the term community to describe ourselves anymore. We use the word community to describe this greater circle that we live in, that our camp is immersed in. And it feels so good when I think that, because I feel as though I'm a part of something greater than myself. I feel nurtured and supported, and I feel on an equal basis with the deer and the turtles and the mice and the bears and the elder trees. It feels so good to be in this greater community. Uh, and I use that metaphor for whenever I start feeling pretentious. Oh yeah, I've got it figured out. You know, I know what to do. I know what's right. Uh, yeah, I just set that aside and realize when I think I know something, it's time to listen. It's time to listen. And it's really that simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. Simple is not easy. The real answers in life are simple. They're pretty straightforward. That doesn't mean they're easy. We have a lot of woundedness. We've been traumatized. We have patterns of behavior that keep us from knowing ourselves, much less other people. from coming together in trust. Is there anything that I've covered so far that you'd like to explore further? Any questions? Anya?
Actually, it's a question that Doris was referring to. I think that I might be able to repeat his question just so that everyone who might not been there yet can hear. Doris, please tell me if I'm not aligned. But how to, in community, coming and wanting, like having this internal drive to join a community, and yet feeling out how you can really have your own space, and feel that you have still your independency somewhere. And this question I recognize actually from quite a lot of people who have also passed by here. And I know I've been sharing also with you like so many stories and things that I'm also experiencing myself sometimes. In like, how is this balance between community sense and still maintaining your own kind of ground and coming to your essence at times? And maybe there are times you don't want to be part of a community and it's too overwhelming. So I was wondering if you could perhaps share something about that.
Sure. Does anyone have, excuse me. Does anyone else have that concern? What's your story? Does that inhibiting you from being quote unquote in community? What is it about? What's behind it? Let's hear a couple of your stories so that what we share can be more relevant to where you're at. What's it like for you to consider that?
I saw Elsa Marie raise her hand, and Andre, and Irene.
We'll
So you
start.
can't escape anymore.
Elmarie?
Yeah. Well, what is my story? My story is I lived in a community for more than a year, and I realized for me, my intention was almost to get in touch with everybody I met from heart to heart, which was really not working. I lost myself. I had no time to be with myself even. So that was my experience. And beautiful enough, I'm here. And there's so much silence, which gives me a lot of opportunity to be with myself. It's amazing. It's really amazing. So there's already an answer, which is very helpful for me right now. Yeah. Thank you, Anya. Lisa.
All right. Great experience. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know until we go there. Someone else was going to speak?
Andre, you wanted to speak?
Yes. For me, there is a difference in perception towards when you're in the phase of building a community or creating a community versus when you are in a more, or what would be the ideal picture when everything is settled and everything is in place, which both of perspectives is of course not valid 100%, because you're always in a flux and there's always space for yeah, the rhythm of the tribe in that. So in creating there with 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 all the steps to be made, there's always a kind of flexibility involved, towards each other, but also towards yourself in terms of where to be. And even there, though, there can be quite some moments where there is a possibility for yourself to step out and to create a space in that, trusting that the process of creating has a kind of continuity. And I'm not saying that should be full focus on establishing things, but there should be a flow in that still things can mature and grow in that sense. So that's quite puzzling me as well about so how to be in those different moments, how to find always the balance, and the middle point where you can find each other and to be in the togetherness and in the interdependencies, um, to move forward in more in a balanced way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well expressed. That's something we can take off on. Is there anybody else?
Doris, do you want to say?
Nobody else has issues with losing yourselves in community? No fears? Well, yeah. All right. Let's take a look at this.
Tamarack, I think that Dirk also wants to say something about this.
Uh-huh.
You have to unmute yourself, Dirk. Still, we don't hear you.
You're still muted.
Yeah, now it should work. I have the feeling I'm not losing myself, but I'm going deeper to myself by living together with other people. Because the contact with others can trigger you, and it faces you to some, I don't know, growing points or growing issues. So that's my impression from so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. That's the flip side of fear. Yeah, we'll look at that shortly. Is there anybody else? Last chance. Okay. Looking at living collectively, objectively, there is a lot we don't have to do, which frees us up time. We don't have to cook all our own meals. We don't have to do all our own shopping. We don't have to all pay the rent or pay the mortgage. We don't all have to provide our own transportation. All of the things that consume our time. Because we don't have to provide all of that for ourselves or just our nuclear families, We don't have to work as much. All the way around, objectively speaking, we have more time. And now this time is not delegated time, it's quality time. It's time that we can choose to do what we want with. We might want to contribute more of that time to the circle of people we're living with. We might want to use that time for creativity, time for exploration, time for being with friends. There is a lot of time when we live with other people. We live in trust with other people. That is a biggie, trust. We'll be getting into that shortly. Native people, native hunter-gatherers, only quote unquote work 2 hours a day on average. That's it. That provides for all their needs. They have all kinds of time for family, for personal things, and that is the way we're designed to live. We're not designed to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. That's ridiculous. It's totally unnecessary. And that's why we're here. That's what I'm hearing from each of you. We know there's a better way. We know there's something else. We feel it. We feel it deep inside. Yes, we have fears and personality conflicts and all those sorts of things that are occurring on the surface, but that's not really us. That's not really us as individuals. That's not really us as a circle. There's a deeper voice. There's a truer voice that's calling us. And when we honor that, the other things become secondary. All of a sudden, we have a new perspective. All of a sudden, we can figure them out. And some of the things we worried about, we realized that, that was just my ego. That's not really me. Get out of here. I don't have to spend time with you. I get other things to do with my life. And it comes to trust. All it takes is trust. Now, interestingly, believe it or not, trust does not exist. Mistrust exists, but you cannot create trust because we are biologically programmed to be trusting. We are social beings. Our makeup is trust. It's trusting. That's us. We don't create it. It's the same way when if ever you've had an opportunity to talk with any indigenous people and you talk about nature, they don't relate to that because there is no nature and civilization for them. Everything is nature, so that they don't have a word for nature. It's just all there is. And there's not a word for lies in native languages either. There are no lies. If I am truly listening to somebody, that person is not lying. That person is speaking their truth. I'm just not hearing it. I use an example that some of you have heard already or you've read in Blossoming. If some children are outside throwing a ball around and someone throws the ball too hard and it goes through the neighbor's window, and the neighbor comes out hollering, "Who threw that ball?" and comes up to the kids, and the neighbor grabs one of the kids and says, "Did you throw this ball through my window?" And the child says, "No, no, 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 I didn't do it." And the neighbor says, "You're lying." The child's not lying at all. The child is afraid. The child is speaking his truth in the way he can speak it. The problem is not with the child. The problem is with the neighbor not listening to the child. The child is not lying. The child is saying exactly what she feels. I'm afraid. You're angry. You're a lot bigger than me. This is the only way I can communicate with you right now. This is important because we can listen, but are we hearing? This is important. Because when we can truly hear each other, trust is not an issue. We are connecting on a heart level. That's what matters. I hate quoting somebody because words are only 70% accurate. We have a thought or we have a feeling, and we fish around for the words closest to capturing what we're trying to express. So we spit out some words. Yeah, I can give someone a sense of what we're talking about, but if that person really wants to know what I am saying, what I am feeling, what I am thinking, that person has to look around and between and through the words and connect on a deeper level. That's communication. Language is not communication. It's just an approximation. It's an intellectual construct. The fewer the words, the better. The less we can speak words, the more we're going to communicate, because then we start listening to body language. We start connecting intuitively. Now we can come together in a circle. That's the circle way. That's what's needed. We're all capable of that. Are we able to do it? Theoretically, yes, but we've got work to do. We got a lot of healing work to do. It's not about you or you or you. It's about me. Mohandas Gandhi said, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. You've got to change yourself. You've got to awaken. You've got to ground yourself. I should say I've got to awaken. I've got to ground myself. And if we each take personal responsibility, we can perform miracles. Any thoughts on that? Any feelings? Anything you'd like to add?
Go ahead, Andre.
Nothing to add, Tamarack. It resonates deeply, deeply with me, and knowing that that is completely true. And yeah, and yeah, and it's the beauty of knowing that that is the truth, and it's also taking the responsibility to for each individual to come to the level of living completely in trust.
Yeah, wonderful. Look at the term responsibility. Responsibility, if you break it down, is the ability to respond. It's the ability to be present, to open up, to trust, to share. Not to put up boundaries. That's fear. Boundaries are fear. We often hear in the self-help community and in the psychotherapy community too, that it's important to create healthy boundaries. In a sense, yes. When we're on our healing journeys and we've been victimized, we've been traumatized, we've been taken advantage of and abused, a boundary may be needed. It's just temporary, though. To live with boundaries is to live alone. It's to be isolated. It's to be lonely. It's to be sad. It's to be depressed. That's the only place boundaries are going to take us in the long run. We need to do the reverse. We need to dissolve those boundaries. We need to take them down. We need to open, not close. That's the only way we're going to find true joy in life. The only way. Yes, we're going to be vulnerable. What's wrong with that? We're going to be scared. What's wrong with that? Let's go there. Yeah. That's where the beauty is. That's the beauty way. Is there anyone else who has some thoughts on this topic? Or reactions? Anything?
So I would
Irene?
like to,
Anya?
did someone else wanted to go? Sorry, I missed that. Irene, did you want to say something? Yeah, go. Go, go, go. I will remember.
You're still muted, Irene.
Yes.
Maybe you just go, Anya, and then we'll. There we are.
It worked. Okay, so I was now I forgot what I wanted to say. Yes, no, I think I wanted to respond to your Tamarack, you're mentioning if you live in a community, you have more time because somebody else can prepare your food, somebody else can do your shopping. And then I was feeling like, okay, so yes, maybe I did experience that I had more time. Or no, I did not experience that, but maybe I did not take the responsibility to make other choices with the time that came free. So for instance, I could really, and because I was laughing earlier, because I also in my family now, we are with 5 traveling with 3 children. I also lose myself the whole time because in this little community of our family. And I also experience it a lot in every group that I'm so focused on everybody else and on the whole process. And now we are spending way less time and also the past few weeks away from Imsrade, and we discovered that we neglected parts of ourselves, but also part of our family. But now I was reflecting, maybe when there was time because someone else was cooking, then I went into a conversation with someone else, or I filled all the free time also up with things of the community. And now I'm reflecting, maybe also in my family now, I should take the responsibility more to fill the time for things that are more nourishing for me in the moment, and then come back to the community, like loaded again, or how do you say that? Like, so I was just reflecting on that maybe I should have taken more responsibility to take my time or something like that, or take the time for me, or that were thoughts that were going through my head.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I like to add to that what I experienced, that like in a community that is starting up, there are so many tasks that with the time freeing up, there's 2 or 3 tasks waiting to be done. So there's not enough hours in the day. But maybe once the community is more set up, that becomes different, of course.
Yeah, and still you always have a choice.
Yeah, of course.
To maybe take 10 minutes for yourself, and I say that because I see that I don't take that, he takes his time for himself, but I can do that more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, very important. We think that typically, because we're typically coming from our egos in our culture, that if I want something, I got to take care of myself. No one else is going to do it for me. If I want some personal time, I got to take it. Well, what the elders have taught me is that if I want something, I need to give it away. It's the total reverse. That's what works. Otherwise, we all end up in our own little bubbles taking care of ourselves. If I want love in my life, I need to be able to give love. I need to have the capacity to love. And that creates the opening. That creates the circle. It's the circle way. It's the way of sharing. If I'm so full of myself, I don't have room for anybody else. I'm taking care of myself, thank you. And I'm going to be by myself. But if I can trust, if I can open, if I can give, if I can share, that touches somebody else's heart, and all of a sudden they want to do the same. And now we are capable of relationship. The root term of community is the same as communication. It's communing. It's coming together. It's communion. It's this joint union. And in order to create space inside myself for something else other than myself, I have to release something. I have to give. That's why giving is receiving. The elders say that giving is receiving. It doesn't seem to make sense. Well, if I give it away, I don't have it anymore. Oh no, I'm creating space for more. I'm creating space for something different, something even more special, something that's shared with others. That's the richness of life. And here again, we need to trust. We need to trust that the people we are with are going to help provide the space for us to be who we are, just as we are wanting to provide it for them. If we are all providing this for each other, we're covered. We got it. We don't have to be so self-concerned because everyone else is covering our backs. They're helping us to be who we are. They're helping to give us the space. That takes openness. It takes trust. It's the only way it's going to work. That's the way we're designed to function. Otherwise, it's just mechanics. We come up with little rules and schedules and laws and everything. When we are functioning well here, we don't need a cooking schedule or a cleanup schedule. People are just there. When we have to rely on schedules, something's missing. And that something that's missing is me. I'm not there. I'm just another cog in the wheel if I'm going by a schedule. I might as well be a robot. I'm not coming from a place of heart. Anya.
I would like to share also a little bit on the boundaries you mentioned before that we're putting to kind of protect ourselves and our time, and how we can then be kind of, yeah, I think that Irene mentioned, like, be filled again, and coming from that fullness we can meet others. I think what I've experienced lately is that it's not even so much that it's about doing just things for yourself only. I feel that whenever I go in more retreat, I'm doing things that serve the community, but might not be visible. And I think that that's another turning, because we can think that even if we would feed ourselves or be like spending time on ourselves, that is a selfish act, right? There's a programming there as well for us. But actually, especially in community, like that's visible. Everyone sees she's going back. What is she going to do? She's going to do another course or, you know, work on herself again. And I think what happens there is actually, even if that would be so, I'm working for the community because my healing is everyone's healing. And the time I'm spending also on doing things that are not visible are also there. So I think it's such an another perception on it is that we kind of feel that this is not a connected time, it's me time, that me time can be filled with so much beauty and yeah, and help for the whole.
Yeah, beautiful. This is a very important concept. Self-development is developing our skills, our abilities, our talents, so that we can come back and enrich our community. In Native communities, people will often go on their journeys of discovery. Now, on the surface, it might seem as though it's a really selfish act. Hey, this person's taking off. There's so much to do here. And this person's going out and having a good time, wandering the world. Well, when that person comes back, he or she is so enriched. She knows a whole lot more about herself. She's more grounded. She's gained new skills and abilities. She's learned things from other people that she's bringing back to her people. She has become so much an asset to her community because she went out and lived and learned. A simple example that I like to use is that if I have a bicycle and I'd like to provide it for other people to use, that's all well and good. However, if the bicycle needs repairs, if the bicycle needs to be fixed up in order to be truly useful, I need to stick some time and energy into that bicycle. Now the bicycle is going to serve the group, serve the circle. And it's the same with each of us. We're all bicycles. We all have wheels turning inside us. They need to be lubricated. They need to be polished up. Then we can serve. And this is a continual process. So it's a very important point, Anya. It's not solo time. It's not alone time. It's personal enrichment time, which is also community enrichment time. They're one and the same. There's no, the separation between self and other is artificial. We are all organs in the same organism, all sharing the same breath, the same spirit, the same life. It's only the ego that creates separation. The heart doesn't know separation. Anya, is your hand still up because you'd like to speak? Okay.
Yeah, this
Great.
touches so many aspects of our lives that we have lived with some people here, others are not present. So I feel it's such a deep topic to explore. And when you were, Irene started also with this beautiful inquiry into the time that you gain versus also living more in this kind of aspect of the structures and the tasks, and how beautifully you say, like, yeah, it's not needed once you really trust and you can connect to the life and its rhythm, then that just flows. And I think that is just the anchor point that we have used also a lot in our references every time. Like we came after also blossoming the child camp that we were having with you. We just truly all came enlightened from that camp, and we just were, we can do this, we can live this life. And yet what I see in the almost 4 years of living together is what happens, I feel, and it's unfolding. And right now we see a very big turning point in our community, is that somehow remembering the rhythm that we can live by is something we have forgotten. So that rhythmic way of having people to prepare the food, taking that responsibility. It's something that we forgot along the way because we were raised by parents that maybe didn't even like cooking. So we forgot that we actually want to make food, and the supermarkets came and we can just buy anything we want. So all these ways have been, at least in my system, taught for many, many years. And being in a community, I felt such a big sense of unlearning. And yet I was the one who didn't show up in the kitchen so often, and had troubles doing that until we did make a rhythmic schedule on who cooks what day. And it was in support of a rhythm. It was supporting this rhythm of community that we could then remember again that this life is possible. And then I heard us sharing, and many people were sharing, yeah, I only have to cook once a week, and the rest of the time I don't. And I found it so beautiful, because once this became maybe like a little bit enforced, and especially the ego finds it enforced, because we have to go unlearn something we came from. And people who then got into, like in our community, they were sometimes saying, yeah, but this feels really enforced. Like I have to cook now. And yet you cook once a week, or however time is needed. And I find that also really beautiful, because you often talk about remembering these ways and doing that again. So I would love to also ask you more to talk about this remembering of this way, and how to remember it, and how to then trust that.
Yeah, this is something that we have done also. We might start with a schedule to get people on board, to let people know what's needed and when. And what has happened in our circle is that people are getting together to cook, and they're starting to enjoy it. They're talking, they're sharing the stories of the day, they're exploring things, and it got to the point where there were just too many people in the kitchen, and had to ask a couple people if is there something else you can do, or would you like to come back for cleanup later or something? How many people do you need to chop vegetables, and we just forgot about the schedule then. It wasn't needed anymore. So I want to be careful about not saying that schedules are completely bad, or they're of the devil, and they can help to get the ball rolling for sure. In the same way that land, the concept of owning land or buying land is, one elder said, it's like fleas on the back of the dog arguing about who owns the dog. And it's just from Earth perspective, it's an absurd concept that we humans can own pieces of the Earth. It's quite the other way around. And again, this is because we're coming from our materialistic ego perspectives. So still, we might, quote unquote, purchase land in order to liberate this land, to caretake this land. And it's just a temporary step. It's just a temporary construct, like a schedule. So I just want to be sure, and I'm glad you brought it up, Anya. If a schedule is needed to get the ball rolling, great. Get a schedule together. if you're doing your work as well as abiding by the schedule, if you're doing your work in terms of healing and coming to a place of trust, you're going to forget about the schedule pretty soon. Great. Anybody else have something to contribute now?
I'll give
Elise?
myself permission to unmute myself. Um, yeah, I found it so beautiful what you said about, of course, coming from trust and trust being the natural state. And then I was still wondering also with the boundaries, because I think one thing that was very evident in our community life last years is that even though you want to open your heart for everyone, you cannot really open your community to everyone. So like our circle, we have opened up for many people, and it has been a joy. And also sometimes there's tears and there's sweat and there's blood and there's everything. But there's a point, like you said, like it's important that everybody can take responsibility for themselves. So then there starts to be a separation in a way, right? So you have to choose together who can live with us in this sense. Or so I was just wondering if you can. I know we talked about it many times, but it's like fascinating for me, because there's something I think also in me, but in many people I see it. It's like it feels like you don't want to judge, right? So then it feels like if you make a selection, if you say, okay, you are not part of us and you are, yeah, then you're creating a separation. And we're doing it I think we've done it in such a beautiful way with many talks and openness and truthfulness. But still I feel it's yeah, I would love to hear some thoughts of you about this topic.
Mm-hmm. I'll use an example. Let's say we are a group who enjoys dancing. We enjoy Brazilian salsa. We're a salsa dancing group. We just love getting together and dancing. And someone comes along who loves dancing too, but they dance ballet. And, we don't have anything against ballet. Ballet is beautiful. It's just the rhythm isn't quite the same. We can't quite sync, when we get together to dance. And if this person who's dancing ballet would like to learn salsa, that's great. And if not, we're probably not going to change and turn into a ballet group, because we're into salsa. We like salsa. And or it could be somebody who has never danced salsa before and attempts to get in there and dance with us, but just kind of, we end up tripping on each other's feet and just getting in the way. And this person might have might have to watch for a while and get some training first before they can really join us and really flow and sync with us. So this is a great metaphor for just looking at not who we are, but how we are. We are all capable of living together in clan, of coming together in a circle. That's the way we're biologically designed. But are we ready for it? Maybe we have some work to do. And maybe we're of just a different personality type, which is all right too. We are all biologically programmed to be of a distinct personality type. We all are of certain archetypes, and we need that balance in any circle. There are three basic archetypes: the nurturer, the guardian, and the voice. Now, if we get a group of voices together, it might feel good for a short while, but where's the nurturing? We need nurturing energy too. And we need our guardians. We need our protectors. So groups sort themselves out if we're really listening to each other, really connecting with, first of all, who we are and who each other are. And we find this balance. And it's not that anybody is not good enough or anybody's wrong. It's just that either they just may not fit with our blend, or they may not be ready. And that's okay. And this, for me, is about vertical relationship. There are two levels of relationship. There's horizontal relationship, which we mainly function on, and that's our families, our group of friends, our associates if we work at a job, the people we share hobbies with, and that sort of thing. This is all the people in our horizontal relationship. And we don't give much attention to vertical relationship. Indigenous people live by vertical relationship, and that is coming from our forebears, our ancestors, our elders, coming down to us and through us to the coming generations. And we are a point in that line, a vertical relationship. And when we look at it that way, we can see that other people are at different points in this line. We're not all going to be there on the same plane at the same time in the same space, thinking the same way and being ready for the same thing all at the same time. It doesn't work that way. Equality is an artificial construct. There's no way we can all be the same. It would be a dull and boring world if we were all the same. Let's revel in our differences. That's the beauty of life. Any more on this topic? Anya?
This is again such an important question. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you for the beautiful response. It just feels so relevant, especially the start of your sharing around the dance and how it starts with actually figuring out the dance and figuring out what dance you really want to dance. And I think being clear on that, like if someone is wanting to start a community, having this, being clear on what dance you really want to have flow on through you with others. This is such a deep piece of advice also from my own experience in the last 4 years, is making that as clear as you can. And it's not something that you can, of course, know by like the 4 years that we were coming to this point was a journey to discover what dance we were dancing, because sometimes it was ballet and other times it was salsa. And we enjoyed it all, like truly enjoyed all these dances. And they were teaching us as well. So there's nothing is lost. And sometimes I had to come to this lesson, because sometimes it felt really hard, especially when people are leaving or when you are coming to a conclusion that this is not a mutual fit. It's so hard. It's heartbreaking to have people you really love go. And I think it's a life lesson. It's something that only in communities is taught in this most harsh ways. I've built companies, I've done other things that came really close, but this is a lifetime you build together. So it feels like such a precious gift. And I can also not thank enough all the people who have been with us. And and have shared our journey. And I'm so grateful for every dance that everyone showed, and how much you can also enrich, even if you have chosen for the salsa. That even in ballet, there is something, a step in that dance that you can integrate in your salsa move, and you would have not figured that out, that dance existed within the salsa move, and you turn that salsa into a more full embodied dance. So I also really want to say that even in that journey, it took so much gratitude for each one showing something very unique and different and adding to the mix. And just knowing how much this is also journey unfolding.
Yeah. Beautiful. The bottom, you expressed it well. You know, the bottom line is function. What works? That's all that matters. Where the rubber hits the road, is it working? The when a family of wolves comes together to hunt, they need to make a kill to feed their pups, to feed their elders. That's all that matters. It's got to work. And they need to be of one voice. They need to be of one heart. They need to be completely open to each other so that they can coordinate things on the button right then and there. There's no time to sit down and talk and work out differences or whatever. It's gotta work. They have to have this instant intuitive connection. They've got to be dancing the same dance. Period. Anya.
Okay, if there's anyone who would like to ask also a question, please raise your hand, because I will be just asking questions otherwise the whole time. But feel free, and you can always go. There's another very deep related question that I have, which is also very vulnerable somehow, because I feel that whenever communities come, and I hear this also from other people who have started communities, that we are so deeply programmed to find the leading actors, the ones who are starting something, who maybe have and shown more of a voice in this community, have been gifted somehow, at least I can speak for myself, have been maybe put in a role, and they put themselves in a certain role as well, of course, from whatever they're coming with and their baggage and whatever they carry. And I find it very interesting how that has turned out for me in the last 4 years around leadership. And maybe leadership is not even the right word, because I feel it's so much more than leadership and what that word can encompass. Could you share maybe a little bit more about this? Because I'm also knowing that a lot of people who subscribe to have this sharing are at this point of starting their community, and at this point of also leading a community. So I would love for you to give some to these people who are, at the start of this journey.
Mm-hmm. The best leaders are the best listeners. A true leader, a leader in the classical sense, is one who is carrying out the will of the people. It's the talking circle is a really good example. Are all of you familiar with the talking circle? The concept of the talking circle? Okay. Now, the beauty of the talking circle is that everybody is together. Everybody is facing everybody, and everybody has a voice. Nobody can dominate, nobody speaks out of line, and nobody can have undue influence, because there's going to be another voice after theirs and another voice after theirs. And the beauty of coming from a place of trust in the talking circle is that if someone else raises a question that I was going to raise, or speaks what I was going to speak, I don't have to say that. All I have to say is my truth has been spoken. And the energy just keeps going around the circle. I don't have to argue that point. Someone else has already expressed it. It's there. It's part of the circle consciousness. So the concept of leadership that we bring from the dominant culture is of someone who's assertive, someone who's domineering, someone who's got a lot of influence. They're influential. And that is not a classic leader. That is someone who's leading by power of force rather than power of heart. It's there's a difference between when we come from our hearts, we come from a place of trust. And when we come from our egos, we come from a place of mistrust. So whenever I mistrust something or somebody or a quote unquote leader, I'm coming from my ego. And I'm realizing that something's out of sync. And I need to step back and gain perspective. And the beauty of the circle way is that whoever is the voice, whoever is we have chosen to be the quote unquote leader, the spokesperson, is doing that because they have listened and they're carrying out the will of the circle. It's not their will. They're not convincing us to do something that they want to do. We are asking them to help facilitate what we want to do. It's coming from the other perspective. And what that takes, and this is a very important concept here, whenever a group comes together for any particular reason, that reason needs to be developed into a vision. And that takes it out of any person's realm or person's responsibility. It's the vision. It's not what I want to do. This is our vision. We have created it together. Now we have objectified it, and we're coming from the vision rather than working toward it. It's an entirely different way of approaching something. The vision already exists. We create our own realities in our minds. We do it all the time. I have sensory perceptions, I have memories and such, and I put them together, and that's my reality. Someone else can have be in the same place at the same time and see things, the same things I do, and create a different reality from it. Our realities are inside us, not outside us. And that's why vision is so important. The first thing to do is to get together and create that vision. Now I can point to something. I'm not pointing to myself, or I'm not pointing to you. Hey, that person's our leader. That person has it figured out. No, it's our vision, and we're all here to serve the vision in different ways. And voices, because they are good at articulating and speak the voice of the vision, are often looked at as the leaders. The nurturers are just as important. The guardians are just as important. The children are just as important. The elders are just as important. If I look at myself and I say that, oh, my liver is more important than my lungs, I'm not going to function that way. All of the organs are equally important. They all come together. That's what creates the total being. That's what creates me. And it's the same with our circles when we come together. Every person is vitally important. Every person has a valuable contribution. In our society, we don't see that. You know, the nurturers are low on the totem pole, and the leaders are high in the totem pole. Politics is it, you know. The news is all full of politics. That is not the way we're designed to function. Nobody's happy that way. That's why we're here. Just to check in, how are we doing for time?
We have 10 more minutes, or actually 8.
Ooh, and counting. Whoa.
So if anyone has a question building up on this, or something that you might have come with as your intention, please feel free.
Now is your time. It's going to enrich us all.
Marie.
Yes, I started off with this question about different cultures and having the feeling that we might misunderstand because of differences in culture. What I distract from this meeting is that it's egoic fear of me well, facing the difference and being scared of it. Or did I understand wrongly?
Yes and no. When I speak with the elders and when I listen to my wolf family, they say that there's one culture, there's one indigenous human culture. Now there are different colors and flavorings to that based upon climate, region, time of the year, all those sorts of factors that affect the physical manifestation of culture. But that can change so easily, so quickly. Many of us have migrated from one place to another. We adapt and adjust. We come from a quote unquote different culture, but how different is it really?
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same needs, wants, and desires.
Mm-hmm.
And that is expressed through culture. That is how we fulfill those needs, wants, and desires. The surface manifestations are insignificant. Yes, we can hang on to them and say, this is really important to me. This is my identity. That's my ego. That's not my real identity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what if I'm facing the ego of my neighbor in an Eastern country and I'm trying to deal with that? And he doesn't want to listen to me either. So that's not a interesting part.
Yeah. When we come from a place of ego, we can't listen because the ego is designed to be self-protective.
Mm-hmm.
That's the role of the ego. We can negotiate, we can come to a compromise, but that's not listening. We have not connected on a heart-to-heart level. We've just figured out how we can coexist.
Mm-hmm.
We're not communing, we're just coexisting.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we keep coming from places of ego, nothing more is possible.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah. We have a saying in English, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. You're going to get some red juice, but it ain't blood.
No. Okay.
So if we cannot sit down in a circle and share on a heart-to-heart level, it's not possible. It's not possible to commune. It's just the way it is.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Last chance, folks. Anya, were any questions sent in? Is there anything that we did not cover that that you received?
So actually a lot was covered already. It was about the roles, about valuing members, each member, how to, the other one was taking decisions. You covered some of it as well. Maybe one of the questions that I found very beautiful, and I think that is also the intention of this sharing, is how is trust possible to be built on a long term? And it's a very broad question, which maybe brings some insights that you still have and would like to share with us that is not covered yet on this topic, on trust building and taking it on a longer term and being patient. I find that a beautiful adding to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad this question came up, and I'm glad we have a few minutes for it, especially because all of you are involved in one way or another in creating circles coming together. There is a rhythm to the founding or organizing of community, and it's really important to know this rhythm so that we can recognize what's going on and use it to our advantage rather than starting to judge ourselves and thinking, oh, we failed and we're falling apart and things aren't working. When the tide comes in the ocean, comes in waves, it comes in cycles. It doesn't just push in like that. And it's the same with community. It evolves in waves. We've got the initial flush, several people come together. They're burning. They've got the passion. They get it. And we've got all this energy. And we're pouring it in there. And look what we're doing. We're creating miracles. And that sustains for several years. A few new people come and they get it. They ride the wave with us. And then it peaks out. And it's usually after about 3 or 4 years, it peaks out. We have a few new people coming in, but they weren't a part of that initial passion, that initial energy. And they still think, hey, this is a great thing. And they might have some other ideas. Well, maybe I'd like to do things a little differently, and maybe we can change here, and let's sit down and talk about it. And that fire, that edge wears off, and we kind of start coasting. We just hit a status quo. And when that happens, it's time to restore our passion again, to dust off that vision. Why are we here? What are we all about? Does this fit for everybody? And for some people, it's going to fit. For some people, they're going to realize, well, I've got some somewhat different ideas. I'm called in a different way. And that's beautiful. All families, none of us are staying with the children grow up, we spread our wings, we fly. That's beautiful. It's not failure at all. And if we can help and support each other when that time comes, help the people who have a different vision, who are called in a different way, help to set them up and stay connected. It's beautiful. When I lived with my family of wolves, they were always watching and looking for the wolves around them as well. They stayed connected because they were relatives. They had cousins and uncles in the families nearby, and they would connect sometimes. They can't all live together. A family of wolves can only be so big. We're biologically programmed to have roughly 8 adults in a circle, 8 to 10 to 12, something like that, and not counting children and not counting visitors and that sort of thing. But a good functioning circle is 8 adults, 8 really dedicated people. That's what works best. Any bigger than that, and we start structuring our our circles, because we can only be fully open and trusting and loving and caring with 8 people like us. That's it. Many fewer than that, if we only have 4 or 5, we don't have quite enough diversity in our circle. So it's that the power of 8, that magic number, if you can keep that in mind. And it's 8 people on the same wavelength. Very important. 8 people embracing the same vision. That's what works.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and you, and each and all of you, we're doing it together. This is beautiful. It's encouraging for me to see all this fresh energy, and it's always fresh energy. Today is the beginning of the rest of our lives. We don't want to relive our history. We learn from it. We don't want to relive it. We take the lessons and we go on. Yeah. Yeah. Yo.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Tamarack, thank you so much. I think I've seen everyone's face being enlightened, being puzzled, being enriched, and I'm very grateful. And I would like for everyone to just close your eyes as we close this gathering. And as you close your eyes, please feel a beautiful insight that might have flown into your heart. And maybe something that touched you. Or maybe the whole session as one voice. And let it sink inside of you. Have the river of the flow of your blood remember again what we're about, who we are. And thank you for taking your time. And please thank yourself.
Well, it's been such a gift to share with each and all of you. Thank you. You're my inspiration.
Hello, Liz.